My boyfriend of 8 years cheated on me with my best friend in my own car. But when I found out all my friends knew for a year and a half, I waited until her wedding and exposed them all in front of 150 guests. I'm 28 years old. I run my father's office supplies company, and what happened 2 years ago at my best friend's wedding basically destroyed everything I thought I knew about the people closest to me. The thing is, I was with Tyler for 8 years. 8 complete years. And we lived together for the last 4. And I thought everything was going well. You know, that we were building something real. But Tyler always had excuses when I brought up the topic of marriage. Like it wasn't the right time, that we needed to save more money, that his job was too demanding, basically anything to avoid the conversation. I was almost 26 when I started pushing the topic more because, aren't 8 years enough to know if you want to marry someone? But anyway, I guess I should start from the beginning, so this makes sense. Tyler and I met in college. We were part of this group of 7 friends, 4 guys and 3 girls, and we were all super close. Like those groups you see in movies where everyone does everything together. Rachel was my best friend since freshman year. We were roommates, and we literally spent every second together. She knew everything about me. I knew everything about her, or so I thought. When Tyler and I started dating in junior year, she was the first to know, even before it was official, and she always said we were the perfect couple in the group. The others in the group were Sophia and the rest. But Rachel was my person. You know what I mean? She was that friend you could talk to at 3 in the morning about anything. After we graduated, we all stayed more or less in the same city. Some got jobs here, others moved but eventually came back, and we kept seeing each other often, like every 2 weeks for dinner or drinks. I started working with my father in his office supplies business, which sounded boring, but I actually liked it. And Tyler worked in marketing for a mid-sized company. We lived in a decent apartment. Nothing fancy, but it was ours, and I thought we were happy. I've suffered from migraines since college, terrible migraines that sometimes leave me in bed all day. But Tyler was always understanding about that, or at least that's what it seemed like. Fast forward to 2 years ago. Rachel surprised us all by announcing she was getting married to a guy named Charles. She had only known for about 6 months. Charles was like 60 years older than her, literally. She was 28 and he was around 88, and he came from a super wealthy family. We all thought it was weird because Rachel had always been the type to say she would marry for love, but she insisted that Charles was special and that age didn't matter. I had my doubts, but I tried to be a good friend and support her. Though I'm not gonna lie, it seemed strange to me. Tyler told me to stop being so critical, that if Rachel was happy, that's what mattered. And I was like, well, I guess he's right. The wedding was going to be at a really nice hotel. One of those with huge ballrooms and gardens and all that. The day of the wedding? Well, technically the day before because there was rehearsal and rehearsal dinner and all that. I got a horrible migraine. I'm talking about the kind of migraine where light hurts you, sounds hurt you, even breathing hurts you. I told Tyler I couldn't go to the rehearsal dinner, that I needed to lie down in the hotel room with the lights off, and he said it was fine, that he would go and cover for me. I stayed in the room for like 2 hours trying to make it go away, but it didn't work, so I decided to go to my car to get the strongest pills I had because I had left them there that morning. The hotel parking lot was huge, like 3 levels, and I had parked on the 2nd level that afternoon. It was like 8 at night, already dark, and the parking lot was practically empty because everyone was at the rehearsal dinner. I walked toward my car, a blue 2016 Honda Civic, nothing special. And when I was getting close, I saw there was movement inside. At first, I thought someone was trying to rob it or something, but then I recognized my upholstery and looked closer, and I almost threw up right there. It was Tyler and Rachel in my car, making out. And it wasn't like a friend's kiss or anything ambiguous. It was a real kiss, with hands everywhere and all that. I froze standing there. I literally couldn't move, and I felt like someone had shoved their hands into my chest and was squeezing my heart. I don't know how much time passed. Maybe it was 10 seconds. Maybe it was a minute. But eventually, I turned around and walked back to the hotel on autopilot. My head was exploding. The migraine didn't even matter anymore because the pain in my chest was worse. And I kept thinking, no, this can't be happening. There has to be an explanation. I went up the stairs because I didn't want to wait for the elevator. And when I got to the 3rd floor where the rooms were, I heard voices coming from one of the small meeting rooms the hotel had. I recognized Sophia's voice, and then the other guys from the group. I don't know why, but I walked closer to the door that was half open and stood there listening. And what I heard basically destroyed what was left of my heart. Sophia was saying something like, "I can't believe Emma doesn't know yet. It's so obvious." And then one of the guys, I think it was Mark, said, "Tyler is an idiot for doing it in her car. What if she finds out tomorrow before the wedding?" And they all laughed. They laughed. They were there literally laughing at me while my boyfriend and my best friend were cheating on me. And not only that, everyone knew. The whole group knew and had been covering for them. Sophia said something about how they had been seeing each other for like a year and a half, and that she had helped them coordinate several times when I thought Tyler was at the gym or working late. I walked away from that door feeling like I was going to pass out. I went back to my room, I went into the bathroom, and that's when I cried. I cried so hard, I had to put my face in a towel to not make noise. But after like 20 minutes of crying, something changed. The sadness turned into rage. A rage I had never felt before. And I started thinking clearly. Tomorrow was the wedding. Rachel was going to marry Charles in front of all our friends and family. Tyler was going to be there like nothing happened. Everyone was going to be there acting like I was the stupid one who didn't know anything. And I thought, no, this isn't going to happen like this. That night, when Tyler came back to the room around 11, I had already cried everything I was going to cry and had made a decision. I acted completely normal. I asked him how dinner was. He said it was good. He asked how my migraine was. I said better. We went to bed and he fell asleep like nothing, while I stayed awake all night planning what I was going to do. At 6 in the morning, I got up, showered, got ready, put on the wakfeng dress I had bought special for the wedding, a pretty purple dress that had cost me like $300, and acted like the perfect maid of honor. The ceremony was going to be at 3 in the afternoon in the hotel garden. All morning, I helped Rachel get ready, told her she looked beautiful, took pictures with her, did everything a best friend is supposed to do. She was nervous, which was weird because Rachel was never nervous, but I thought, of course she's nervous. She's probably afraid someone will find out what you've been doing. Tyler also acted normal all morning, gave me a kiss before I went to help Rachel, told me I looked gorgeous in my dress. What a son of a bitch. The ceremony started perfect. The garden was decorated with white and gold flowers. There were like 150 guests. Charles's family was basically the high society of the city, everyone with their expensive suits and jewelry. Rachel looked beautiful. I'm not gonna lie. She had a wedding dress that probably cost more than my car. Charles was standing at the altar, a very elegant older gentleman in his suit, and the priest or whoever was officiating the ceremony started with his welcome speech. I was standing next to Rachel with the other bridesmaids, and Tyler was in the guest section looking at me, and every time our eyes met, he smiled at me. The moment came where the officiant asked if anyone had any reason why these two should not be married. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Normally nobody says anything, right? It's just a formality. But I raised my hand. People started murmuring. Rachel turned to look at me with huge eyes, and I said, "I have something to say." The officiant looked confused but said, "Go ahead." And I walked to the front where everyone could see me well. And then I said, looking directly at Rachel, and then at the guests, "I think everyone should know that the bride has been having an affair with my boyfriend for the last year and a half." You could hear a pin drop. Literally, nobody moved. Rachel went pale. Tyler stood up from his seat, and I continued. And not only that, but our entire so-called friend group knew and hid it from me. They even helped coordinate their meetings while I thought he was working or at the gym. Last night, I found them making out in my car in this hotel's parking lot. And then I heard our friends laughing about me because I hadn't figured it out before. Charles, the groom, was looking at me like he was trying to process what I had just said. Rachel started saying, "Emma, no, this isn't what you think." But I interrupted her and said, "Oh no, Rachel, this is exactly what I think. I saw you. I saw both of you. And everyone knew except me." Tyler tried to approach, but I yelled at him to stay where he was. I told Charles, "I'm sorry you have to find out like this, but I thought you deserved to know who you're marrying." And then I turned to all the guests and said, "Enjoy the reception. I'm leaving." The chaos that followed was incredible. Rachel started crying. Her mother was screaming. Charles's family looked horrified. Our friend group was in shock. And I just walked down the aisle between the chairs, went up to my room, grabbed my suitcase that I had already packed that morning because, yes, I had planned this, and drove back to my apartment. The trip was like 40 minutes and I cried the whole way, but I also felt liberated in some weird way, like I could finally breathe after being underwater. When I got to the apartment, all of Tyler's things were still there, obviously, but I just went to my room, took off that stupid purple dress, put on sweatpants and a hoodie, and lay down in my bed. My phone wouldn't stop ringing, calls from Tyler, from Rachel, from Sophia, from everyone. But I didn't answer any. Around 9 at night, Tyler started sending text messages telling me we needed to talk, that I had destroyed Rachel's life, that Charles had left the hotel and canceled the wedding, that his family was furious. And then he sent me something I didn't expect. He told me that Rachel's wedding was a financial arrangement, that Charles and she had an open marriage agreement where basically she married him for his money and he got a young trophy wife, and that's why she had been with me, sorry with Tyler, because the marriage wasn't going to be real anyway. That somehow made it worse, you know? Like Rachel was willing to sell her life for money and still thought it was okay to ruin my relationship in the process. I replied to Tyler with just one message. You have until the weekend to pick up your things. Coordinate with my brother for the time. I don't want to see you. And then I blocked everyone from the group. Everyone except Tyler because I needed him to be able to contact me about his things. But I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. The next few days were horrible. I didn't go to work on Monday. I told my father I was sick. And technically it wasn't a lie because I felt sick. My dad is one of those people who doesn't ask many questions, but I think he knew something bad had happened. Tyler came for his things 9 days later. Not the weekend like I told him, but not until the following Tuesday. And when he arrived, he tried to talk to me. My brother was there as I had planned, but Tyler insisted we needed to talk alone for 5 minutes. I told him he had 3 minutes, not 5. And there, standing in the living room of what had been our apartment, Tyler had the nerve to tell me that everything was my fault too. He said I had pushed him into the affair because I was obsessed with getting married, that I pressured him too much about marriage, that I made him feel trapped. He said Rachel understood him better than I did, that with her, he could be himself without pressures. I stood there looking at him like he was a stranger, because honestly at that moment he was. And I told him, you're right, Tyler. It's my fault for wasting 8 years of my life with someone who didn't have the guts to end the relationship before cheating on me. It's my fault for trusting you and my best friend. It's my fault for thinking I deserved something better. Now leave. My brother literally pushed him out, had to shove him toward the door because Tyler kept trying to justify himself, and when he finally left, I blocked his number too. That night I started writing in a journal, something my therapist, yes, I started therapy like a week after all this, had suggested. I wrote about how I felt, about the memories I had of Tyler and Rachel, about how there were signs I should have seen, but didn't, because I trusted them. I also started going to the gym every day, not because I wanted to look better or anything like that, but because I needed to get the rage out somehow. And hitting a punching bag seemed healthier than breaking things in my apartment. About 6 months passed before I started feeling like myself again. My father's business was doing well, and I realized I could focus all my energy there, like really dedicate myself and grow the company. I started going to networking events, getting new clients, and the truth is, I was good at it when I wasn't distracted, trying to maintain a relationship that clearly wasn't going anywhere. My family was amazing during all this. My mom called me every day, even though I didn't always answer. My brother stayed to sleep on the couch on weekends just so I wouldn't be alone. Even my aunt, who lives in another state, sent me packages with homemade cookies and letters telling me everything was going to be okay. Fast forward to like a year ago. So a full year had passed since the wedding. I was at the gym. It was already part of my daily routine, and I had lost like 15 kilos without even trying. Just from being active and eating better, because when you live alone you have to cook or starve, and this guy approaches me and asks if he can use the machine next to mine. Normally I don't talk to anyone at the gym. I use headphones and do my routine and leave. But something about the way he asked was nice, like very respectful, and we ended up talking. His name is Daniel. He's 31, works in architecture, and when he invited me for coffee after the gym, I said yes, which surprised even myself. That first date was weird because I still had all my guards up, you know? I told him up front that I had come out of a really bad relationship, that I wasn't sure I was ready for anything serious, and he said that was okay, that we could take it slow. And he meant it. It wasn't just something people say. We've been dating for almost a year now, and the difference between him and Tyler is like night and day. Daniel talks about the future without fear. Like 2 months ago, he asked me what I thought about having kids someday. Not in the sense of having them tomorrow, but like a real conversation about what we both want from life. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was with someone who truly sees me as a partner, not as something temporary. About 3 months ago, I found out through a mutual acquaintance. Because yes, in a city you end up knowing things, even if you don't want to. That Tyler and Rachel ended up getting married. Yes, they got married. Apparently, after everything exploded at the wedding with Charles, Rachel had no money because she lived in an apartment that Charles paid for, and he obviously cut her off after being left at the altar. And Tyler decided that since everyone knew anyway, they might as well get married. They lasted less than a year. They got divorced after about 10 months because apparently, and this the same acquaintance told me in quite a bit of detail, they couldn't stop fighting. Rachel was furious because she didn't have the lifestyle she thought she would have, and Tyler was bitter because he lost all his friends after what happened at the wedding. Since most of the group eventually took my side or just walked away from the drama. When I found out about that, I expected to feel something, like satisfaction or joy or something. But honestly, I just felt like nothing. Total indifference. It was like hearing about two people I didn't know. I told Daniel that night during dinner, and he asked me how I felt about it, and I told him the truth. That I felt grateful that everything had exploded when it did, because if I had married Tyler before finding out, it would have been 1,000 times worse. Daniel took my hand across the table and told me something that stuck with me. He said, "The wrong person doesn't prepare you for the right person. They just help you recognize what's right when it finally arrives." 2 weeks ago, Daniel took me to meet his parents, which was big for me because I hadn't met anyone's parents since Tyler, and it was so different. His parents were warm and welcoming. His mom hugged me like she had known me for years, and during dinner, his dad asked about my work and really listened when I told him about my father's company and my plans to expand. As we were leaving, Daniel's mom hugged me again and whispered in my ear, "My son is happier since he met you." And I didn't know what to say, so I just smiled. But in the car on the way back, I started crying, like really crying, and Daniel got scared and asked me what was wrong, and I explained they were good tears, that I was just happy. That I didn't remember the last time I had been genuinely happy like that. Now I'm at a point where I can honestly say, I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. My father's business is growing. We just got a big contract with a tech company that's going to keep us busy for at least 2 years. I still go to the gym almost every day. No longer out of rage, but because I like how I feel afterwards. Daniel and I are talking about moving in together next year, which would have terrified me before but now excites me. My migraines are still there. They didn't magically go away or anything. But I learned to manage them better and not feel bad about having to cancel plans when I get a bad one. Sometimes I think about that night in the hotel parking lot, about what would have happened if I hadn't gone down for those pills, if I hadn't seen them, if I had kept not knowing for months or years more. And honestly, I don't know if what I did at the wedding was right or wrong. Like socially, it was probably wrong to ruin the ceremony like that. But personally, I don't regret it. That version of me that stood in front of all those guests and told the truth was braver than I knew I could be, and I think I needed to find that part of myself to be able to move forward. Last week, I ran into Sophia at the supermarket. The first time I'd seen anyone from the group since that night. She saw me first and looked like she wanted to hide behind the cereal shelves, but I just waved at her and kept walking. I had nothing to say to her. No desire for confrontation or to know how she was or what had happened with the group. That part of my life is closed, filed away, finished. I have new friends now. People I met at the gym, at work events, even some of Daniel's friends who became my friends too. And it's refreshing to have relationships that started clean, without complicated history or hidden betrayals. Daniel asked me a few days ago if I ever wanted to get married. Like, in general, not specifically with him, although I hope eventually it is with him. And I told him yes, that I still believe in marriage, that I'm not going to let Tyler ruin that for me. I told him I want a family someday, maybe 2 kids, a dog, a house with a yard where the kids can play, all those things that sound cliché but that I actually want. And he smiled and said, I want that too. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was with someone who truly is on the same page as me. Not just telling me what I want to hear. I guess if I learned anything from all this, it's that people are going to disappoint you, even people you thought never would. But that doesn't mean you have to stay there and accept it. It means you have to be strong enough to walk away, even if it hurts, even if it's scary, even if it means starting over. And I also learned that revenge isn't always bad. Sometimes it's just telling the truth out loud when everyone expects you to stay quiet. I don't regret standing there that day and exposing everything, because the alternative was living in a lie surrounded by people who didn't respect me. And I'd rather be alone than be with people like that. 3 days ago, my dad told me he wants to start giving me more responsibility in the company because he's thinking about partially retiring in a few years. And the conversation was so different from how it would have been 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I probably would have said no, that I wasn't ready, that I needed Tyler supporting me or something like that. But now I said yes immediately. Because I know I can do it. I know I'm capable of handling more than I thought. The version of me from 2 years ago was so focused on getting Tyler to marry me that she didn't realize she was losing parts of herself in the process, settling for crumbs of affection and attention. Daniel is asleep on my couch now as I write this in my journal. Because yes, I still write, although it's no longer about rage or sadness, but about the good things that happen. He stayed to watch movies with me, even though he has to get up early tomorrow for an important meeting, because he said he'd rather sleep uncomfortably on my couch than not see me today. It's those kinds of little things that make me realize how much I settled for before. Like Tyler would never have done that. He always put his needs first, and I accepted it as normal. I don't know what's going to happen with Daniel and me, if we're going to end up married like I hope, or if life has other plans. But what I do know is that this time I'm in a relationship where I feel valued, where my goals matter as much as his, where talking about the future isn't like pulling teeth from someone. And that, after everything I went through, feels like winning the lottery. Sometimes I still wake up at night thinking about everything I lost. 8 years of my life, my best friend since college, a whole group of friends, but then I remind myself that I didn't lose anything of real value. I lost people who didn't truly love me. I lost a relationship that was never going to go anywhere. I lost friends who were capable of laughing at my pain. And in return, I gained self-respect. I gained clarity about what I want and deserve. I gained a version of myself who isn't afraid to demand more. Next week, I'm going to sign the contract to expand my dad's business to another city. Something I've been planning for months. Daniel is coming with me on the business trip because he wants to see that city. He says maybe we could consider opening an office of his architecture firm there too if things go well. We're building something together, not just a relationship but real future plans, and it feels good. It feels right in a way that nothing with Tyler ever felt. And that's it, I guess. That's my story of how my life exploded at my ex-best friend's wedding, and how somehow I ended up better than I was before. It's not a perfect movie-type ending. I still have bad days. I still sometimes get angry when I think about all the time I wasted. But overall, I'm in a place where I can say I'm happy, genuinely happy. And that's more than I thought I'd have 2 years ago when I was standing at that altar ruining a wedding but saving myself.